To dry, I'm going to continue with a dark purpley grey. A nice grey is made with ultramarine and burnt sienna, and when I've got the bluey grey that I want, I'm going to add a little bit of magenta to that, quinacridone magenta. Lovely colour. Bit of a difficult word to say, but a lovely colour. And on we go. So my hill, I'm going to work down. This will flow into the background slightly and be slightly fuzzy. So I'm going to put this on and then we'll possibly wait for it to dry. This is, because it's acrylic, the subsequent layers, unlike watercolour, although this is a watercolour technique, won't be shifted by layers coming in on top. So the next layer I put on is actually going to remain and not move under painting. In watercolour paintings done with watercolour, we have this problem where we've got the layer of paint that's going on the top moving the layer underneath, and that can cause problems. I've just realised I've left one of the chimneys out when I did the drawing, so we're going to put another little chimney in there just for the sake of accuracy. Now I'm going to probably go over this again, and that's my initial first layer for the moorland background. I'm just washing an all-rounder brush called an all-rounder. I'm just washing a little bit of water onto that, and I'm using the brush now to drop some colour into here just to get an edge, just to get a softer edge to that line. The all-rounder equates to a number 8 of brush in size. We need to darken this distant hill a little bit, so before it dries we just go back in and modify that, bring that down, so we've now got a nice dark brooding hill there in the background. And I'm now going to wait for that to dry while we mix up some of my mid browns and greens for this area of the painting. So we'll just allow a few minutes for that to dry. And I've gone down to a number 2 round brush again, and I'm going to put in some little touches here. These bluey green cypress trees, it's a mixture of ultramarine and sap green and titanium white, and we're just putting in a few little touches in the distant landscape in order to give an impression of hedgerows, and there are some little hedges, but mainly these tall vertical cypress trees are very indicative of this kind of landscape. And where there are some orange touches showing through as well, it just looks like warmth coming through from the soil, really. A little ridge here, the area where my buildings are, I'm going to re-establish because I'm going to redraw those in a minute. And when working with acrylics, you don't have to get in all of the detail right at the beginning, and there's no need to do detailed drawing. You can stop the painting and redraw at any time, and that's what I'm going to do a little bit later on. We've got a row of small bushes and trees coming down here. Again, I'm adding a little more sap green into this mix just in order to get the colour changing. And so as we're getting down here, it's getting darker, allowing the brush to break up and become almost a dry brush technique, just to give this a more textural look. And that's going to go down into my poppies down here. This is where the area of poppies will be later on. A few of the cypress trees around this area and in the area where the buildings are, I'm going to now just put in some of the shrubby kind of trees here. And these strong verticals are quite important. It's a Tuscany kind of a look, really, the tall, thin, bluey green cypress shapes. We'll put a few in. We're going to paint the buildings in here later on. They'll come over the top of this if I want to put buildings in. This is an opaque method, and I'm using plenty of paint. The paint is not diluted. The paint is actually in on my brush in fairly thick chunks, and therefore it's going to obliterate any colour that's underneath. So I can be quite relaxed about where the colours go, because I can always put more opaque colour on the top. My little pathway or track coming down here, we can put some darks in there.